Welcome back for another episode of Branching Out with Sierra. Today we're on episode 23, The Power of the Pivot, and we're going to be talking about navigating life's reset moments. And today I have Miss Chandra Metz here with me. Thank you for being here, Chandra.
Thank you, Sierra.
I am excited to share all of the things that are Chandra today with the audience because there's a lot to you. It's amazing. But the really cool thing about it is when we think about all of the different things that you're doing in your life, how they align with who you are and what you value. Yep. And I think that's going to help with the conversation today.
I agree.
So I would love if you could really just introduce yourself to the audience, share a little bit about your background and what brought you to me.
All right. And they signed on for a 5-hour episode. Right? No, I'm just kidding. I am Chandra Metz. I say typically from C&M Lawns first and foremost. That's the company that I own and my husband operates. We make tall grass short is our fun little slogan. And we started that in June of 2023. So we just celebrated 1 year in business.
Congratulations.
We are proud members of the Washington County Chamber of Commerce. I am one of the ambassadors there. And so if you're in Washington County, Maryland, come out, check out that. I am a mom of 4. People are like, how did that? I know exactly how that happened, but they are 15, 13, and then husband 2.0 got his own set. And so the babies are 4 and 2. My uncle Bob lives with us. And so tons of fun little Southern Texas Uncle Bob stories get thrown in everywhere. As a girl boss, I collaborated with my colleague Melissa DiMercurio of Curves Ahead Co. to bring the Girl Boss Assembly, which is a small business conference, to Hagerstown in 2024, and we are planning to continue it as an inaugural. It was an inaugural event, and so it will be an annual event from here on out. That's really exciting. I'm about to start a new project. We'll get kind of into that. And then there's another question on here that I'll talk about another project. But I'm an only child, apparently a high I, and I'm from South Texas, and I provide emotional support extrovert services. So that's what I do.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing all of that. There's so much more to you beyond all of those titles and labels that just came along with that. So what stood out about you when we first met was just your passion, your enthusiasm for what you do. You can make everyone feel loved and welcome. And I absolutely love that about you. And my life is better with you in it. So thank you.
I would agree wholeheartedly with the sentiment of ditto on that for you. So thank you.
I also wanted to point out, as you were going through your list there were a couple things on each that I really wanted to tap more into, but I have to give myself props on this one because I actually put on my calendar the Girl Boss event for 2025.
I'm so glad you paid attention to the save the date. That's exciting.
I did. Yes. So it's officially on the calendar, and if it's on the calendar.
If it's on the calendar with Sierra, it's happening. That's for sure.
I'm really excited.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, let's dig into it. Okay. So as you know, because you've been listening to the episodes because you're so much better than me and I haven't been listening to yours.
Not better. Well. We have different priorities right now and that is okay. You don't get to talk bad about my friend.
Oh, okay. Well, by the way, Chandra also has a podcast.
Oh yeah, with the Girl Boss Assembly. It's so many things.
It's so much to remember.
Yeah. So to continue the conversation from the Girl Boss Assembly conference, Melissa and I host a podcast with Manning Media, Listen Hagerstown and Listen Frederick. And it's the Girl Boss Assembly podcast. And we continue to interview the speakers. That way we can take a deeper dive in their little 10-minute presentation, and even some new guests and things like that. So we have 8 episodes out so far. We are not as diligent as you. We release them every other week. So they release every other Friday. So the next one will be out next Friday. So,
awesome. I will at some point.
At some point.
I will definitely catch up.
Okay.
Thank you for listening to mine.
Of course.
But you already know that I ask every single person that comes when they first felt like a leader and what that was like for them.
I was really excited when we were supposed to record the first time, because at that point I would have won. I like to win. And so as of now, though, Erica is the winner because she said that she has recognized she was a leader since birth.
Mm-hmm.
I was 4-ish. So my grandmother passed away on Christmas Eve when I was 4. And up until that point, I lived with my grandmother and my grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
I, again, am an only child. I was the firstborn on my side of the family in over 17 years. And there was not another cousin or anything like that for at least 8 years after me. And so I got a lot of attention. I was not spoiled. Too much.
She's making faces.
Too much. But I really recognized at that point, even as a kid, that decisions were being based on me. Mm-hmm. And what would either benefit or not benefit, impact or not impact me. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how much I actually like tapped into it, but I definitely recognized like, oh, this is not the same in everyone. And I've always been, more mature. Air quotes are happening for the people not seeing me making very weird air quotes. But I've always been more mature for my age. Or referenced as such. And I think that it's just because I've kind of recognized that. Mm-hmm. And no matter whether you're tapping into it or not, I've possessed that knowledge.
Yeah. Well, it's evident that you're a big influencer, not just because of the I in DISC, but you're a big influencer in the community. Yeah. So you've definitely grown in that over the years. And find a way to really connect with everyone. So I love that. Yes, Erica maybe said it first, but if we count the first recording we had, so we're outing ourselves right now.
A little bit.
We had a previous recording.
We did.
We had a topic that we thought was going to work.
Yeah, it was going to be a good one.
I thought it was going to be a good one.
Yeah.
But after we finished recording, the computer crashed and we lost the episode.
We were big sad.
Yes. I did actually want to cry. I'm not sure if I shed tears, but
you didn't. You held it together.
Okay.
I was real proud of you.
I think it was after you left.
Okay.
Maybe. Mm-hmm. But we turned that into a positive thing.
Absolutely.
And how did we do that?
Well, we definitely said we'll do something again. You specifically said you didn't want to do a straight up re-record of that topic because it would feel scripted then. And I fully agree. As an ADHD possessing I work best thinking, on my feet and seat of my pants and improv, whether I was part of a troupe or not, nobody needs to know. But I really love how this turned out. And so I actually sent to you an idea about why don't we like lean into this reset? Like I would venture to say every single guest of yours has highlighted a pivotal moment.
Yeah.
And how they have taken it and run with it. You yourself.
Yeah.
With your teaching and your limes and even just getting established in the different communities, how you reset and how you pivot and then you move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love the topic. And I remember now because we were laughing, you sent it to me right the day after.
Yeah.
I had just previously written down in my full focus planner about that topic.
Right.
And we were like, okay, it's meant to be.
It's meant to be.
So it's all come together and now we see it as a positive thing that we had
Absolutely.
We had to re-record this
Had to re-record it.
But yes, I am so excited to dig into this, but I think before we do, I need to know what those pivotal moments in your life have been. Again, do we 5 hours or did it just go to 10?
we can do it. We can do it.
So tell us about some of the pivotal moments in your life.
Looking back, when my grandmother passed away, my mom moved me from, my hometown, my birth home, to Chincoteague, Virginia, and then to Miami, and then back to Texas, but not close to my family. And so like those were pivotal moments. Each new school was a pivotal moment. Each new home was a pivotal moment. I, graduated high school. I moved to San Antonio. I had gone to church camp growing up, and so that's kind of where my faith was founded, was on a hot basketball court in Gonzales, looking up at the stars and just thinking, wow, like God made all of that
Mm-hmm.
and me. And so like I've got to have some type of something to offer. Like they offer light for billions of years after they're dead. That's cool. So like I could do something. And so I moved to San Antonio. That was my big city bright lights. I very quickly found out that like big city meant bigger minds and more open minds. I lovingly refer to myself as a lumpy potato in high school. I was overweight and not feeling attractive. And especially in small town Texas, there was definitely a mold to fit.
Mm.
And I did not fit that mold. But in San Antonio, there was not as much of a mold. And so I was able to like kind of become myself. Um, a lot of people are shocked when they find out that I was not very outgoing in high school. I would sleep on the desk. I would get my work done. I would turn it in. I was a straight A student. I would turn in my work and then I would fall asleep at the back of class.
Wow.
Because why put forth the extra effort?
Mm-hmm.
I'm good. And then I moved to San Antonio. I was a corporate trainer for a restaurant chain. So I really love training and speaking and making sure that people are on track for success. And I know that those are values that you hold very dear. And so like that really taught me. I've always been hardworking. Like I had to pay for my first vehicle. I had to pay for my pager. I had to pay for my first cell phone. It was purple. It was the translucent purple one. It was big stuff. Um, but my mom, whether for good reason or not, I was responsible for all of those bills. And so I knew that I wouldn't be able to have things unless I worked hard for them. And so very early, I was instilled with a good work ethic. And so I've always tried to go above and beyond for organizations. It was really interesting listening to episode 18, shout out. I'm currently on that one. But you were talking about how in talent and acquisition for the DISC assessment, it's not necessarily to say you would be a good fit or not for this company. It's a conversation starter. Mm-hmm. And then it's making sure that you have the right people in the right seats. Yeah. So there were times that I was miserable because I was in data entry. There were times because I was miserable because I was in a call center. There were times that I was miserable and I would be excited for the opportunity and I would do good for a while. But then I would not be like, lighting my soul on fire. And I would get so burnt out and be so grumpy and not the best employee and probably burned plenty of bridges. But looking back, it makes sense. Hindsight, always 2020. Yeah. So a ton of pivotal moments. More recently, I think the pivotal moments are with entrepreneurialism and our family freedom versus clocking in and clocking out. It was very evident to me that businesses in general, bigger businesses and even some smaller businesses, they are watching that bottom line. Mm-hmm. And there was a time in 2019 when I had a miscarriage. My company knew, and they let me go the following week. And we closed on our home that they knew we were purchasing the following week. So 3 weeks of big pivots all on their own, hitting wham bam right after the other. Yeah. And that was where it was actually Martin, who I'm not sure what disc he would be. I know he is an owl. Like, remember, there's a bird assessment,
he's
and
an
I'm
owl, so
C. He's opposite. Whatever I am, he is opposite. And so I'm so thankful for him at that time. Never once in my life have I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but he really encouraged me not to jump right back out into the workforce. He really encouraged me to take time and heal emotionally and physically from the miscarriage, get us settled into the new home, take a breather, and then move forward. And I might be jumping ahead, but
It's all woven together.
They turned
Yeah.
it turned into this beautiful thing because I cycled once and then was pregnant with Ezra. So he's our rainbow baby. If I had jumped right back into the workforce, would I have been apprehensive, or like would my body and stress levels have been able to support that pregnancy? That fall, my mother passed away and I had to be in Texas for 3.5 weeks handling that. Um, and so would I have been able to have give that without letting a team down or an organization? Would I have lost a job due to that? Because I wouldn't have had the tenure. I would have only started that summer. And then I was able to like bring my Uncle Bob up to live with us the following year because my son was brought home 3 days before COVID lockdown. So, like we had a ton of stuff in like one big year that we pivoted a lot. And by the end of it, I didn't really know which way I was looking. But we were able to kind of figure it out as we went. And without each of them being an integral way, looking back to see that it was maybe even not positive, but essential for the next steps.
Yeah, for everything else to fall into place. Yeah, so as you were talking about that, I was thinking about, is the pivot defined by a moment where things did not go according to our plan? Right. Is the pivot when we change our mind and decide to go in a different direction? Like, what is a pivot?
Right.
Can you define what pivot means for you?
So I loved volleyball. Volleyball was my sport. Everybody, when they see how I'm 6 foot, and Martin says 5'11" and 3/4, but I blame the babies. They steal your height sometimes, but I still claim 6 foot. So everybody asks, "Did you play basketball?" And I'm like, "Nope, I played volleyball." But that doesn't mean that I didn't actually play basketball. It just means that I didn't love it. So in basketball, when you are pivoting, you are rooted on one foot and turning your body a certain amount of degrees one way or another to either move forward or defend, like both offense and defense.
Right.
Pivot. And I think that's what it is. Even in life, a pivot doesn't mean 180. A pivot doesn't mean 360. A pivot could mean that 1 degree of difference that can make lasting change further on. And a pivot can be something very well thought out thanks to a full focus planner and a coach like Sierra, or a pivot can be a defense based on something happening to you. So I think that all of the above are true.
Yeah. And as I was listening to the examples of pivotal moments and the variety of those, what those turning points were for you, I was trying to, in my mind, figure out, what's her definition of it, right? What is pivotal?
Yes.
So thinking about the more recent pivots in the series that kind of led to now you as an entrepreneur, as the owner, and Martin, the operator, what are some of the current pivots that you're just trying to navigate right now where you're not even 100% sure what direction to go in? And when you are in those moments, how do you decide what to? Oh my gosh, I can't even. You have to look at the screen.
Pivot. It's the friend, for anybody listening, it is the Friends episode with Ross and the couch in the stairwell. And he is yelling, "Pivot! Pivot!"
That's perfect.
Thank you, Matthew, the most amazing producer in all the land. Oh my goodness. What was the question again?
I can't even. It was when you're not sure where to go next.
Okay.
How do you decide? What do you lean on?
I mean, so everybody has a certain set of foundational values, a certain subset of people you call your bestie, you call Matthew, your family, depending on, who. If you listen to our current episode that's out on the Girl Boss Assembly podcast, Stephen Schutte is talking about his personal board of directors that he relies on to provide advice. When you think about it like an organization, you're not making decisions solo. And sometimes you can, like, what am I having for lunch today? Let me call the board. No, we don't need.
Oh, wait, I shouldn't be asking other people that.
If you want, that's totally fine. Call me.
Okay.
But when it comes to bigger things, you have to have that trust built up and set, and the experts in that field, and all of the other stuff. For example, we are entering into a partnership with Happy Home Roofing.
Congratulations, by the
Thank
way. It's very
you.
exciting.
We are very excited. People that have lawns have roofs. So I am all about collaboration over competition. And so why send two emails when two companies could split the cost of an email campaign and send one? Aaron Mitchell, the owner of that company and president of your BNI group,
Yes.
he is extremely wise and very well versed in business finances. And so it would be pretty idiotic of me if I were to say, you know what, we're not going to do cleanups and patios anymore without talking to him and having a conversation. What do you think this means for us a year down the road and our, actual profitability and revenue if we say we're not doing this? And then he's able to advise appropriately. Now, Martin has an aortic aneurysm. Should he be the one doing that work? No. Can he supervise that work? Absolutely. Is he very well versed in that? Yes. And so it's one of those things where there's a will, there's a way, and you can make it happen with the right information. I like everything. I love puzzles. So everything is a puzzle to me. And if I can just get enough of the pieces together and enough of the big picture, then we can figure it out. It's fine.
Yeah. I like that you shared about the episode with your own personal board of directors. Everybody should go listen to that episode. Is it okay if I listen to that one before the others?
Absolutely. Go right ahead.
Okay. Because I think now having more of a business mind than I did before, that really resonates with me, because I think about, well, who are those people? Who do I typically go to if I'm trying to make a decision for my business? Those are obviously people that I trust and respect or have shared values
100%.
with me, right? So I really like that concept. It's very helpful. And then I do also believe that it would be idiotic to not to not work with Aaron. So good choice. Good choice.
We like him a lot, and he's one of those people that he just wants people to win. Like he is, there are leaders, and then there are cheerleaders, and there is a difference. And Aaron is one of those guys, and I told him this morning. He owns this organization, but he empowers the people that work for him to go and do their job well.
Yeah.
And like those are the types of leaders, that's the type of leader I'd like to be. I am not currently. I will hold on to every task. If I could be doing the cleanups and all the things, I do actually sometimes. But he is one of those leaders that empowers others to go and do good. And that's where you see an organization thrive. Yeah. There are other leaders that I've met in the community that example that as well. And those are the ones that I'm watching, because that's who I want to be when I grow up.
Well, sometimes the pivot isn't a decision like that. Sometimes I feel like a pivot is like a reset of your mindset.
Yes.
Can you tell us, about about maybe a time where you realized you needed a mindset reset in order to be able to take advantage of the opportunities in front of you?
Yeah. I feel like you're like just lobbing these softballs up at me. So in your episode with Jess Gordon, did you know I would reference this?
No, I didn't actually.
So Jess, I love you. We just putting that out there. And 540 Fitness and Performance is amazing. And 540 Nutrition, Jess is a nutrition coach. So after hearing this episode, did I give you the backstory on
everybody needs to hear it. Yes, you did, but everybody needs to hear this. And by the way, we understand why you did it, because it is the most listened to episode. We looked at analytics yesterday.
It's a good one.
It's the best.
It's the longest and the most listened to. So there you go. So if you haven't heard that episode, it is episode 8 or 9.
It's
8 or 9.
I thought it was 10.
Maybe it's 10.
I
I don't
think
know
it's
what I'm
10.
talking about. Don't take my word for it. But so I listen to this episode and I hear this beautiful woman explaining to Sierra about her life, which is beautiful. I won't go into the depths, but she shared the one thing that she shared that hit me so hard was you have to go back and love the girl you were at these points.
Mm-hmm.
So, like the girl I was in San Antonio, my early 20s. How did Shade say it on episode, what was hers? 17?
17, I think.
And
Yeah.
she was like, my early 20s were for in the streets. I was just like, yes,
Did
ma'am.
you laugh out loud?
100% out loud. Because if you meet Shade, if you see her in person, you do not put those two things together at
and
all.
I love that she's open about it.
And she is open about it. And I am too, because I am all about, you are who you are, and everything that you have done has led you to where you are. Mm-hmm. So Jess talked about going back and loving her. She has this fitness journey. I have a fitness journey. I had weight loss surgery in 2013, and my current gravitational pull is a bit higher than I would like it to be. And so I need to do something about it. I also have a big date coming up in March. I am going in for the consult for my lower body 360. That means I will have an incision going entirely around my lower body, lift and breast lift. And in the world of plastic surgery, especially after weight loss, you want to be at a maintainable weight for a certain amount of time, because you don't want to lose more weight after the excess skin removal.
Yeah.
And then you have more excess skin.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to prepare my body for that, I've got to get some stuff going on up here. Okay. And so I hear this story, and I mean, like, I was bawling while I was crying sometimes. So I emailed Jess. Well, actually, I email 540fitness.com or whatever their general email is, generic inbox. I was trying to say both. So
Generial.
We don't. Nope, not doing that. But I email this inbox, and I'm like, hi. I listen to Sierra, and I don't know. I just did not give enough background information to say I am a dear friend of Sierra's. I have met her face to face. She knows, loves, and trusts me. I am not a serial killer. So I email her basically just saying, hey, I heard your podcast with Sierra, and I would love to grab coffee with you sometime. I have, these goals and this date. P.S. If this is Jared, please forward to Jess. Thanks, bye. And she emails me back, and she's like, yes, absolutely. And this tells you like how amazing she is. Mm-hmm. And she emails me back, we have coffee. And at some point in time during our conversation, she like pauses the conversation and has to send a text. And I'm like, proof of life? And she was like, yeah, he thought you would ex murder me.
And he still let her go.
He let her go. She's like, it's a public place. It's daytime. She's a she. I was like, yeah, but you didn't know I look like I could eat you, because she's tiny, like looking at her next to me. So then as we were leaving, I was like, bye. It was great meeting you. She was like, bye. Thanks for not axe murdering me. So now, like, you're welcome. So anyway, the mindset shift behind that, the pivot in the mind that needs to happen is my habits need to start reflecting the outcome that I want.
Yeah.
And I know I'm preaching to a beautiful choir about this, is you have to take the baby steps. You have to make the 1 degree difference. And so I started my nutrition coaching journey with Jess. Yeah, I'm on week 2.
That's awesome.
Lord only knows what she thinks whenever she opens my Excel spreadsheet, but she's amazing. Yeah.
What mindset shift do you think needs to take place for you to reach your goals?
Oh, that's a big one. That I need to prioritize myself. It's a self-care thing. I'm a mom of 4. I am a wife. I am a caretaking niece. I am a business owner. I am an ambassador. I am a friend and a colleague and a contributor, and all of these things. And a lot of times those things stop describing me and just describe what I do. And so therefore it's Chandra likes to work out. Chandra likes to eat healthy. Chandra likes smaller portion sizes. Chandra likes feeling good about her body and not being at a higher weight. So, yeah.
I love that for you.
Thanks.
And I think everybody needs to hear that because I feel like we all have things.
Mhm.
What is it that you want to say right now?
I do win. One less 19 through 22. Has anyone else completed a Wheel of Life?
No.
I did.
You did
I
it?
did. So I didn't bring the board like so Sierra's Wheel of Life looks like a tree, like a cut.
It's a cross
It's a
section.
cross section of a tree, and
Yeah.
it's amazing. So what's funny is I remembered from the workshop, the online workshop that you had done, to actually segment some of the things. And
Yeah.
so I went into like my Google Sheets and I was trying to um, make a pie chart, but it doesn't make it look like an incorrect wheel. But I have all of my numbers
Oh, I
and
love it.
all of my things from the subsections
Oh, this makes me so happy.
of my Wheel of Life. And it was time to focus on the one to bring it up.
Mm-hmm. And we talk about focus.
Yes,
Good job. Good job. I will give you a sticker after.
Yes.
Don't have any in here, but I'll give
Okay.
you a sticker. Seriously, I like that you took. Oh, I like the sticker on your phone.
It's a case. This is
Oh,
my phone case. It looks like a little cassette.
yes.
I have
thought it was a sticker.
Yeah, I have a few different phone cases. One matches my purse, and then one has greenery, like plants and stuff. But this one I had to clean my phone last night because my 2-year-old had gotten hold of it with candy hands.
Oh,
And so
Halloween candy.
then this was one of the ones that was like cleaner.
I like it.
Yeah, and it kind of stands out.
It does, and a lot of kids these days don't know what that is.
Right.
I automatically wanted to stick my finger in it to rewind
With
it.
the pencil, yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. No, I was the one that brought it up. It's so funny because I feel like on some of these episodes, I just allow my random thought to come out. I usually, in most settings, I hold it all in and there's just a constant. It's bouncing around. Like right now, I'm actually thinking about Einstein looking over your shoulder.
He's so good. Hey, bud. What's up?
Which leads me down a whole other rabbit hole. But sometimes I just like to allow myself to
let one go every now
and
then.
There you go.
That's okay.
So I love that you did that, but no but.
No but.
Cross out the but. And I love that you did that. And I think it's important for people to know that if you do go through that exercise, which is on my website, you don't automatically want to focus on the one with the lowest score. You want to focus on the one that would have the greatest impact.
Yeah.
And if there is a need for improvement in any of the areas related to health, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, I'm telling you, all day, every day, the focus has to be there first, and it's going to impact all of the other areas. So not that you needed to know that, but for everybody listening, I want to make sure they know that we don't go through this exercise to identify your lowest score and say, now you have to focus on this. Right. Sometimes it's something completely different.
Yeah.
So just wanted to point that out.
I like it.
All right. So you were talking about all these different ventures that you're a part of right now. Sometimes the pivot, you can see all the positive things to come with that, right? But sometimes they present challenges, unexpected challenges. So can you tell me about some of the challenges that you might be facing as you go into some of these pivots, new partnerships, relationships? Right. I'm just going to say you enjoy speaking, you're good at speaking, looking for opportunities to do more of that, right? Yeah. So what do we do about the challenges, and what are they that are coming up for you right now?
The challenges facing me in the next, I would say 30 to 60 days is going to be time management. And I have a friend that's taught me a lot of good things about how to do a day. So I'm going to be implementing a lot of those strategies. I said I was good at puzzles. I also can be a bit of a bull, even though I'm a Scorpio. So I just kind of like head down and get through it on a lot of things, which is maybe not the best. I wouldn't say to do that. But again, whenever you're a puzzle person and then it boils down to logistics. Okay, so if I have 24 hours in a day and I have to sleep for 8 of those, that leaves me 16 to do all the things. So how many of the things can I do, and how many days of the week can I devote to it? And so really it's just figuring out those strategies, and then if anything costs money, figuring out how to fund it. And I really like the term reverse engineering,
Mm-hmm.
because once you know what you need, you can just kind of reverse engineer it. I have a very strong background in sales. I worked for car dealerships for 6 to 10 of my 20 plus long career length. Um, Years. I didn't say years.
6 to 10.
Six
We
to
could have
10.
minutes.
I spent 6 to 10 in car sales. But what it taught me was that it's a numbers game. Everything is a numbers game. And so and numbers don't lie.
Mm-hmm.
And so once you can figure out what the equation is, you can just kind of plug and play. And if you need something, if you need 100 appointments, then you need to be knocking on a lot more than 100 doors, or
Exactly.
going to a lot more networking events and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. And so that's how we got started. Martin said, I want to start a lawn care company. And I was like, okay, how do you do that? And he said, we knock on doors. And I say, why don't we call people that own a lot of doors? And I got on the horn with property managers. And then
Yeah.
we went to the Chamber of Commerce, and we started getting referred left and right to different people. And we last year, I'm leave for a conference tomorrow, right after Cornerstone. I leave for a conference, the National Association of Landscape Professionals. So
That
we
sounds fun.
pay a certain amount of money to have this cute little sticker that we can attach to our name. And we have access to these continuing education conferences. And so, there are landscape business owners from across the country that are going to be all gathered in this conference this weekend. And I'm super pumped. And last year, when I went to this conference, oh, Ted, tell me about your year. Oh, well, we just closed out 500,000 in profit. And, hey, Bob, what about you? Well, we did 3 million in revenue. And my eyes were
Yeah.
like saucers, and they would turn and look at me, and they would be like, and what about you? And I'm like, hi, we have 2 weekly and 4 bi-weekly clients, and I am pumped to be here. And what was so inspiring to me, and I think a little seed in the collaboration bucket, was that not one of them made me feel like I shouldn't be there.
Mm-hmm.
Not one of them were like, oh, well, go do bigger and better things and come back next year.
Yeah.
No, every single one that heard that story, they were like, oh,
They've all
cool.
been there, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what people forget. We see people walking around as the
Mm-hmm.
outcomes of all of
Mm-hmm.
their past experiences. Sorry, Matt. I accidentally touched a dongle. I think it's okay.
I
He
think
can
it's
probably
fine.
cut that. But we see everybody's outcome. We see everybody's Instagram reel. We
Mm-hmm.
see everybody's highlights. We don't see the hours of networking, the babysitters that Chandra needed, the having Uncle Bob pick up all 4 kids because I'm stuck across town and Martin's still out mowing. That's where the day-to-day
Mm-hmm.
challenges crop up.
Yeah.
All of the things that we want to do, they could be done. It's what else are we struggling with? And that's why it was so important to me to fill out one of the wheels of life before I came, because it's so relevant. If my family time, my parental family, is low, then I need to stop having Uncle Bob be the one to go pick up my kids.
Yeah.
I need to make sure that I'm scheduling that time in, and maybe have time to stop and have coffee with them on the way home.
Yeah.
My big kids go to one school, my babies go to another. My big kids can get picked up earlier. My babies don't have to be picked up until later. So why can't I take the big kids and do something, maybe
Mm-hmm.
not every day, but one day a week?
Yeah.
If Martin and I are not, I know that we need date nights when I get defensive and he's asking questions. And what's funny, I know you have Mike Kenzie on here at some
Yes.
point.
Uh-huh.
Is his featuring before mine?
So he actually, yes, he is.
Okay. Is it the Working Genius one?
He has 2 of them. I'm trying to remember which one's coming out
okay.
first.
So he is the guy. He's my guy that I
Mm-hmm.
talk about with Working Genius because he's who I learned it from.
Mm-hmm.
So I am also an I in Working Genius because I will throw spaghetti at the walls all day and
Mm-hmm.
let's have ideas. And I love ideas. And then I want to bring all of the people together and let's like have fun talking about the
Mm-hmm.
ideas. So I'm an IE in Working Genius. Martin is a D, which
Mm-hmm.
means he is a discerner and
Yes.
he asks questions and he pokes holes in the ideas. And that is his job, and that is a good thing because it helps those ideas move on to the next part of the process.
Yes.
However, when we are not getting enough date nights or time together, I know, or I feel defensive or
Mm-hmm.
attacked when he's asking those questions. He's just doing his job. He's really good at it,
Yeah.
and he's not trying to put me down. However, if I'm feeling defensive, I'm like, "Can we go on a date? Like, I miss you." You know, when Uncle Bob, when I'm not being a good niece for Uncle Bob, like he's asked me to look at his finances 5 different times, and I've put it off and put it off instead of scheduling a
Mhm.
time and doing it.
Yeah, I expect you to send me what that time is
Yep,
by the
I
end of
will.
the day.
I will. That wasn't an actual example, but
Oh, okay.
we usually sit down. Saturdays are like my Uncle Bob finances stuff, and then
Okay.
if I have to make any phone calls, it's kind of ad hoc. But you pick your poison. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you pick your priorities. Everybody says I don't have enough time. There's not enough time. There's the same amount of time for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just you got to figure out how to use it.
You're exactly right.
And
It's a choice.
yeah,
It's truly a choice.
and it's interesting because people look at my life and say, "You're so busy." And I'm like, yeah, aren't you? What are you
Yeah.
doing? Like,
Yeah,
what are you doing?
exactly.
Like, isn't everybody busy? Everybody's busy. And so I think it's just, how you're being busy and how you're getting through it.
Mm-hmm.
And today I'm in a great mental health space and I'm, sitting across the table from my friend and I am feeling good about it. Call me next week. It might be different, but
Yeah.
that's okay. Like it's supposed to have ups and downs. Like, life can't be the same all the time.
I think you have shared a really good point about some of the resources available to people.
Yeah.
I mean, how long did it actually take you to do the Wheel of Life?
Um, Maybe 20 minutes,
Okay.
maybe 30 because I was being extra and trying to put it in a pie chart instead of
Okay.
because and I was doing it while somebody else was driving and I didn't have your paper. And
Okay.
so I was looking on your download
Okay.
and cross-referencing and just writing down the numbers and things like that. If I had had your paper and like a minute to sit down, it maybe would have taken 15 minutes.
Okay. So 15 minutes invested to have clarity on where you prioritized your
Yes.
time. I mean,
I
and
think it's huge.
it is huge. And your example about, okay, well, if I feel like I need to grow in the area of your involvement with the children, right? That was the same thing that I was faced with when Caleb started kindergarten.
Yeah.
I could have very easily said, Matthew, you're in charge of pick up and drop
Right.
off, right? That I don't have time to sit in
Yep.
that line, right? But instead, I will literally schedule my day so that I finish my meetings in Winchester
Yep.
soon enough to drive an hour to his school and sit in the pickup line and work while I'm in the
Yeah.
pickup line. But I've chosen to turn it into a very good thing
Mhm.
where it's right in the afternoon when I usually hit my wall and I
Yep.
don't have a ton of energy. So it's a good reset. I get to, have him to reflect on the day with, and he brings me lots of joy. And then after pickup, and we get back to the house after he's settled in his homework, I go back to work, right?
Oh,
So I give him that time,
yeah.
and I think that it's really helped
Yeah.
with my connection with him.
Absolutely.
So I liked that example. It really resonated with me.
Thanks. And thank you for all you do.
Yep. All right. So you mentioned core values
Mhm.
earlier, and I feel like you touched on a couple of them, but what are some of the key values that have driven your decisions, especially as of recent? Because usually values remain for a long period of time in our life until we maybe transition to a different phase of life and different things
Yeah.
become more important to us. But I mean, what would you say are your values that are really helping you to make decisions about what's next for you and your family?
Yeah. I love alliterations, and so like faith and family. Um, Whether it's evident that faith is number one or not. It is the very strong undercurrent to everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you mentioned something earlier about cussing in a public arena, and I do that sometimes. There are lots of reasons that I need Jesus, and my foul mouth is sometimes one of them. And then my family, like I do everything for my family. Like our business is how we put food on the table. Our partnership with Happy Home Roofing is so that we could put more food on the table through collaborative marketing and things like that. Taking time to set aside for an actual vacation next year would be super.
Yes.
Working with my friend Melissa with Curves Ahead, I can see how much it helps her and her business anytime I go and am representing Curves. And then anything that we do with the Girl Boss Assembly, it is so life-giving. It's this passion project for the both of us, but also needs to be income producing. And so, having it turn into that and figure out, again, reverse engineer how that can happen. How many sponsors do we need? How many tickets do we sell? What does the food need to look like? How can it be something really valuable for the community so that we want to keep doing it?
Yeah.
How can we pay ourselves for our time in order to put it together? I mean, you've got your retreat coming up, and I don't know math-wise when 23 might air, but you've got retreats coming up.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping you continue to do them. And so, yeah, it's just if you keep those, if just those two,
mm-hmm.
and I'm a loose cannon or a pistol, when you hear me talk, the story doesn't change much.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get what's up in here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not blessed with a filter, and whether that's the ID, the dominance in me or not, and maybe I need to work on my emotional intelligence a bit, but I say what I think, and I think what I say, and I say what I mean. Mm-hmm. That's something that has been a little difficult to navigate in the business politics.
I was going to say, I knew where you were going with it, because it is hard to navigate.
It's very hard to navigate, and not everybody holds those same values. Mm-hmm. And, my faith keeps me full of integrity, and my faith keeps me truthful. And we stopped offering discounts because we were reverse engineering to get the discount into the price that we were giving. Mm-hmm. And that felt completely BS to me.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just, nope, no more discounts, because it didn't feel good.
Yeah.
Because discounts were directly taking out of my family's pocket. Mm-hmm. And so why would I do that if my foundational value is to provide for my family? Yeah. It doesn't make sense. Will I shut our office down and participate in a volunteer project? Yes. Do I get reprimanded because of it? Because Martin sees the loss of income that we could have made? Also, yes. But, you kind of pick and choose, but I would much rather be a fully transparent and honest company that doesn't offer discounts, as opposed to reverse engineering stuff on the back end to make our numbers make sense.
Yeah.
And say we offer a discount. It doesn't feel good. And so finding other business owners that are truthful, that are full of integrity, that mean what they say and say what they mean, and that don't talk about you behind your back, and even stand up for you behind your back. I will hear things about people. Just recently, I heard something about somebody, and I was like, can I ask what the point of having me in the middle of this is? What good is coming of this?
Yeah.
That's
a great question.
How could I help this situation? What would your goal be? And then it kind of backed up, and it's taken a lot for me to get there. And do I do that every time? No. Am I, absolutely a hypocrite? Yes. That's another reason I need Jesus. But
we all do.
It's something that you continuously work on. And so really, I think that my true core values are faith and family. And what is interesting about the family word is I'm an only child. And so I have always longed for a sibling relationship. I have one uncle. I've always longed for more aunties, more uncles, like it was a very small family unit. And so when I say that somebody is my friend, that means they are in.
Yeah.
And so it's also difficult to navigate that level versus what other people's expectations are and what other people are willing to give and do. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we share our core values. I have more that I add on.
I would say I have more as well. I just really when you boil
it down, it comes back to that. Exactly, because they're all interwoven. So it makes total sense. But would you say that having clear values is helping you with your decision making right now in your life?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm asking that as a very pointed question because it is something that I discuss with people all the time when they reach a crossroads and they don't know which way to go. When I ask about their values, if they don't already know those, right? That's why they're stuck.
Yeah.
And so I'm again encouraging people. There are exercises to do this to identify your values. Maybe you resonate or her values resonate with you and it's faith and family, but really go through the exercise. Don't take someone else's values and make them yours. I crack up about that with businesses.
They take
if you go through
mission statements and value statements,
they will literally go to other people in the same industry and go to their site and see what their values are and go, those sound good.
Those sound good.
Yeah, no, that's not how we identify our values.
So I will say, like, you don't have to recreate the wheel. Like, you could use some of it, use it as a structure, use it as a jumping point. It's like using ChatGPT. Like, I love ChatGPT.
It's saving you a lot of time.
It's saving me a lot of time getting the ball rolling. Like, if I know, like, again, reverse engineering, if I know what I want out of this conversation, then I can kind of tell ChatGPT what I want and it gives me a guideline and then and then you tweak it, you modify it, and then you make it yours.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I just wanted to, since you brought up values, kind of highlight that point because again, that's another tool, resource for people. We've got, assessments, the wheel of life, identifying your values. There are so many things that don't take a ton of time, but make business decisions, family decisions, pivoting even when you don't have a choice, so much easier, right? Because pivoting at a time where I didn't have a choice, well, I still had the things that I valued most.
Yeah.
And I just had this conversation yesterday in a BNI one-to-one. And I shifted my mindset, not victim mindset, could only take that so long.
Right.
Shifted it to how is this actually helping me?
Yeah.
How is it propelling me forward? And you actually kind of said that earlier when thinking about taking a family situation and trying to say, okay, but had this not happened the way it did, would all of these things fallen into place the way that they did? Right. So extremely valuable. So connecting this back to leadership, I'm curious as to how navigating these refresh moments, reset moments, pivots have helped you in your ability to lead effectively.
I don't know if I am leading effectively.
Okay.
And I would love feedback on that. I think I have always wanted to lead. Okay. Anytime there was but wait, there's more commercial, I wanted to be the one presenting the product. If there was a, pyramid scheme and the person was talking about their, like grandeur life, I was like, oh, I could totally do that. Like the amount of multi-level marketing this girl has sold. And that's not like bashing them. As a parent, I really struggle in my leadership role as a parent because I didn't have a great example.
Okay.
I am currently surrounded by amazing examples of leaders in this community. There is this lady I know, Sierra Collins. My coach through Cornerstone Women Leadership is Mary Ellen Waltemeyer.
Amazing.
She is she is a good one. There is Sade. There is Jess.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many others. That the chamber. There's Eddie Peters with Legal Shield and the Shoe. There is Aaron Mowry with J-Dog Junk Removal. And I really love finding these community leaders because it's somebody that I can text, I can call, I can like it would be one thing to take a Maxwell leadership course but you have to get to a certain level before you get time with Papa John.
Oh yeah.
And that time is extremely limited.
I love that you call him Papa John.
I heard it from you.
Yeah.
I heard it from you. And so, like I really enjoy learning and listening and seeing what's going on. Whether I act like I am listening, I may talk a lot and I may interrupt a bit. Sorry, but it's how I listen.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how I import the knowledge. And so I love Cornerstone in that it's taking biblical leadership principles.
Mm-hmm.
It's all very timely. I've never been to either a church service or a Cornerstone leadership class, or I even go to a community Bible study with my mother-in-law, and like everything is so timely. And so all of these powers combined,
Mm-hmm.
like all of it leads to more effective leadership. And I would venture to bet I'm a much more effective leader today than I was last month, 6 months ago, 6 years ago, because I have all of these different compounded skill sets that have come together.
I want to go back to the word effective. Because you get to define what effective looks like to you, right? My definition of effective leadership might not be the same as yours.
It is very concise and bullet pointed. That's yours, right?
No, it changes all the time. It changes all the time. You wouldn't believe that, would you?
That.
If leadership is truly about influence, and you are having a positive influence on other people's lives, you're effectively leading.
Thank you. That was a goal of mine. In case anybody didn't hear, she said, I'm effectively leading.
Say that again a little louder.
I'm effectively leading if I'm having a positive influence.
Yeah.
When I had my weight loss surgery, I was thirsting. I was starved, kind of literally, for information, because it is such a, just like you with your Lymes. Before you had Lymes, it's like the yellow car. Before you had Lymes, how many times had you heard about Lymes? A ton? Not a ton.
Not a ton.
And so like when I had weight loss surgery, there were not a ton of resources. This was pre-TikTok, you guys. That was 2013. Like there was not a hashtag WLS or gastric bypass or, anything that I could just click on and find dozens and dozens of resources. And so I started sharing my journey so that it would just be there like a breadcrumb for anybody else. And my goal was always, if just one person can get something good out of it, I've done my job. And I am fine with that.
Yeah.
Where I struggle currently is there are so many people just in my home. We have a house full of 7 that I need each of them to get something good from me. And typically on a daily basis, especially like with my big kids, my babies, they're still babies. They're going to forget a few things. I'm not saying that I can like abuse them and things will be fine. I do not abuse my children. Sorry.
It's fine.
But the babies won't remember all the things. My big kids are 13 and 15. They bring up conversations from 6 months ago that I have no recollection over. And they're only with me a week at a time. And then they go back to their dads. Some type of amnesia or brainwashing happens. And then they come back and we start all over again. And so it's really important for me with my big kids to be a good example of a hardworking, family and faith-driven individual so that they have something to look up to, who maybe has her finances in order. We're working on that. That's another part of the wheel. But it's one of those things that I think is so important in my home life. And then, just take that outside. Like I am a firm believer that you should not walk into a room different from where you walked out of before. You have to walk in the same everywhere. I understand an adapted style, emotional intelligence of how to present. Like I'm not going to go into, like a yoga studio and start yelling unless it's yell yoga. I think that's a thing.
Oh.
But I I don't think you should ever change who you are, and I refuse to do so, to walk into a different room as somebody different.
Yeah.
I am who I am, and if you love me, great. If you don't, check again tomorrow, man. Like things change. Like you've got stuff going on, people have perceptions. It's just a lot. And then I had another thought, but I don't know what it was.
It's okay. You don't have to know. It'll come back.
Yeah.
Amnesia.
Yeah.
So when you said the piece about being able to really, now I lost mine.
See?
It took both of our thoughts.
Is this catching? Matthew, are you with us? I love it.
There was something that you just said that I wanted to tap into. Oh, I know what it was.
Okay.
When you just said about pouring into each person in your household every day, having that like positive interaction every single day. One, I understand the pressure, and two, it takes a lot of effort sometimes to know what that thing is for each person.
Right.
Because the way in which you pour into a 13-year-old and what that conversation looks like and understanding what their needs are versus your husband, right?
Yep, way different.
It's completely different. So I feel like to preface this whole thing, it's understanding what the other person's needs are and taking the time to get to know that you pouring into them is not always going to look the same.
No.
And maybe you're doing it at times when you don't realize it because you're giving them just what they need, just because you have a smile on your face and it's beautiful.
Thanks.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so I would really explore that and consider what are the true needs.
Right.
Because I bet you're meeting them at times you don't know it.
I agree. Specifically with my 13-year-old, and I'm looking forward to letting her listen to this.
Okay.
And it's a her. So I have boy, girl, boy, girl. So the 15-year-old boy, his needs are to be left alone, to be fed, and to play video games.
Okay.
Those are his needs currently. He does not need me present for that. He does not mind if I'm present, but he does not need me present for that. My 13-year-old, I don't know what's going on with her. And specifically, I don't know what's going on with us. 13-year-old girls, I understand, are difficult. We are having some additional difficulties relating to each other currently. There's a lot of storytelling that's happening either by my actions, her perceptions, or other people's interpretations. And so we're really trying to figure out how to navigate that. And then, my 4-year-old, I have a fun story about Ezra.
Okay.
So he talks really clearly now for a 4-year-old. You've met him. He and Caleb are like the same size.
Yes.
Ezra might be bigger than him now. But before he was talking so clearly, he used to say something that sounded like flying cars.
Okay.
And we could not for the life of us figure out what he was saying. We were like, no, cars don't fly. Maybe, like, do you want to throw them? Like, no, we're not going to fly cars. That's not what's happening. And I mean, months went by. And finally, he said it clearly enough. He was asking us to play cars with him. And Martin, that face, times 100. Again, Ezra is Martin's first. Ezra is my third. So even that dynamic is different. And so Martin was devastated that he had let down his son for as long as he had. And I'm like, you know what? Get down on the floor and play cars with him now.
Yeah.
Because that's what he's asking for. And we're not going to beat ourselves up because we couldn't figure out before.
But he kept asking. That's the great thing.
Yes. So persistence,
Mm-hmm.
like in the world of follow up is key.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the magic is.
Yeah,
Yep.
I would not get stuck on the fact that you guys weren't giving him what he needed for so
Right.
long. It's that he trusted that if he did
To
it
keep
long
asking.
enough, you
Yeah.
guys would understand at some
Yeah.
point.
And we did. And so Ezra loves to play cars. And so that's what Ezra needs.
Mm-hmm.
Elsie is feral. We're still not quite sure what she needs, but a brush is one of them, whether we can tie her down to get that through her hair. But she and Uncle Bob are best friends. And so honestly, right now, I don't, and this sounds maybe bad, I don't have to worry about Elsie as much because I know that she's getting what she needs. She's getting her cup filled by Uncle Bob spending that quality one-on-one
Yeah.
time with her.
Mm-hmm.
And I can work with the kid that needs hands-on
Yeah.
cars. EJ's playing video games in the background, and Evie and I are working on stuff.
Yeah.
And that's just
Mm-hmm.
sometimes how it is. And then once they all go to bed, maybe Martin and I can watch an episode of Scandal together.
There you go.
We just finished season 5.
I haven't watched it.
Don't. We have been known to stay up until 4 a.m. binge watching it. And so I do not recommend that show to anyone, but it is so good.
What am I supposed to do with that?
It's a lot.
It's going to impact my sleep
Do
schedule.
like yeah, don't do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I love that you kind of broke it down and literally thought about each individual and what their needs are right now, because I can tell you've already thought about it before.
Yeah.
Right. And I hope that this actually allows you to continue the conversation with your daughter about what's going on, because you have such a desire to connect in whatever way that is. So pulling it back to leadership for a minute, one last time, before we close it up. You know, we were talking about effective leadership earlier. I see you connecting with so many community leaders, and you are a community leader, right? Let's talk about the impact that you, if you had to sum up one impact you're trying to have, one outcome for all of these things that you're doing. What is the outcome that you are trying to achieve?
That everyone thinks Chandra is awesome. No.
Okay, well, that already happened.
Right. I think truly my heart for collaboration is just way up there, like Mount Everest level. I mean it when I say I want everybody to hold hands and get along. Like as a parent, you want to rub their noses together so that they, figure out how to just empty the dishwasher together. But as a community leader, it truly breaks my heart when I hear an organization or representative from an organization say, I would never take a call from them because of how high the competition is. And to me, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because then how are you serving the community best if you're not collaborating with your competitors in your specific vertical? And here's the thing, every single organization has a specific vertical that they are niched in. Whether they understand it and capitalize on it and market it, that's something completely separate. But you would be falling short as a coach if you, as a disc coach or what is that, certified speaker and coach?
Yeah. Maxwell leadership.
Presenter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Coach, speaker, and trainer.
If you, obviously, but like, are you the Working Genius certified? Are you also the Bird Personality certified? Are you also this certified? And then there are some arenas where women are not welcome to speak. And so how would it be great for all of us if you chose not to work with any men? And how would it be great for all of these men to choose not to work with any women? Let's just figure out how we can collaborate and move forward. And whether it's collaborating with a different vertical, like our partnership with Happy Home Roofing, or whether it's collaborating on an idea with Curves Ahead, or whether it's collaborating with another landscaper. Like, we're part of the National Association of Landscape Professionals. I bet I'm going to meet down in North Carolina some landscapers that are in my backyard.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to snub my nose and walk away from them. I'm going to ask them how they did it. And I'm going to ask for their copies of their, no, I'm just kidding. You get the point. Like, collaboration, I think, is the way that as leaders we win, as organizations we win, as people we win. We were built for community. We were built for fellowship. It's literally biblical. And so, like, call it what you want, God, universe, whatever. This is the way things work.
Yeah. I love that. It's a very obvious common thread for everything that you're engaged in. So, the folks that question, how can you do so many things all at once? Because there is that common thread, right? They all serve the same purpose. And I love that. So if you were to give a piece of advice to someone that is having trouble really finding alignment in their life, they're not really sure, maybe they're at a crossroads, can't make a decision of which way to go, beyond what we've already talked about today, do you have a piece of advice as to how they can start, even take their first step in the right direction for them?
Take a look, like, beyond a pros and cons list, take a look at a worst case scenario list. If this weren't to happen, if you were to take one and everything falls to heck and everything falls apart, what does that worst case scenario actually look like? And can you handle it? And then take a look at the other one. Guess what? You've survived 100% of all of your bad days so far. So you can handle either one.
Yeah.
But you're really going to get a gut check of what you're willing to lose.
Yep.
Based on what you do. And that might be some backwards thinking or some type of negative spin or whatever. But I mean, it truly is asking you about your ability and capability to survive and thrive.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do.
Yeah. The risk that you're willing to take. Because you could also flip it around and say, what is the best thing that could happen?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And maybe one of the best things is significantly bigger than the other.
Yes.
And is this, now that I've looked at best case and worst case, is this a risk I'm willing to take for this possibility of a best case scenario? Right? I love that. That's a great idea.
And know that, like, those are all probably made up in your mind, and it's either going to be better than you thought it was or worse than you thought it was, or there's going to be a completely different outcome that you didn't even think of, and you can pivot.
Yeah.
Like, that's
what
you do.
That's what we do. Okay. Well, I want to give you the opportunity to share anything else about any of your current endeavors, share a little bit more about your business, where people can find you, all of those things. And so we can push it out into the world, and all the people who are in alignment with your thinking, as well as are looking for services that you provide, can find you.
Absolutely. So C&M Lawns serves Washington County and Frederick County, Maryland. We would love to schedule a fall cleanup or patio or walkway here through the winter, or we would love to talk to you about next season's grass cutting schedule. We make tall grass short. That's our strong house. We also serve Jefferson and Berkeley counties, West Virginia, and we are experimenting with Franklin County, PA. Okay. So if you are in those areas, that 70 to 81 corridor, that's our wheelhouse. As far as Curves Ahead Co. goes and the Girl Boss Assembly, you can find all things Girl Boss Assembly at curvesaheadco.com. While you're there, be sure to check out my colleague Melissa DiMercurio's public relations offerings for small business, the Girl Boss Marketplace. We have one coming up in December. Will this be aired by December?
It will.
December 14th. Come see us at the Comus Inn in Frederick County. It's going to be a really fun day, fun for all ages. There's going to be spiked hot chocolate not to give to your kids, and then a bounce house for your kids. Um, yeah, and she offers a ton of other great small business services. Um, the new project that I am getting onboarded with is with Valor Excel Business Services.
Awesome.
So we like to make lasting positive change for businesses. They provide workplace chaplaincy and lots of other services. So please visit us at valorxl.com. And um, in the works, Jess has given me the authority to say if I don't start this, she's going to be mad at me. So I, behind the scenes, will be getting certified to be a coach so that I can provide coaching services to weight loss surgery patients going through the process.
So amazing. It is perfect for
Yeah.
you.
So
It's
that's
so exciting.
that's my heart's
Yeah.
that's my heart out there, just, doing a few things. I've got 4 chambers in my heart, so I can have 4 things to focus on. That's a little correlation I just came up with. Don't quote me
Okay.
on it. And yeah, we're just really excited to be here, and thank you so much for the opportunity. I have really enjoyed listening to all of the leaders and guests that you've had so far, and I want to write like Seth. I want to coach like Jay. I want to, fit like Jess. I want to preach like Shade. I love Shade.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And, make really big, good things happen because that's what we're all capable of.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you for ending it on such a positive note. And by the way, I'm just going to throw it out here and put it into the universe.
Okay.
I'm going to try to convince Shade to teach the class because
she should. That would be amazing. She would be so good.
She would be so good.
She would be so good.
If enough people
come
around her and share with her, we see it. We see that you will be amazing at this.
She would be.
Maybe she'll listen.
She may be.
Okay.
Maybe she will.
We just put it out there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time coming all the way to Winchester, Virginia.
Happy to.
I appreciate it. I've enjoyed learning more about you each time that we get together. I learned something new.
I know.
So I love that. And thank you for your friendship as well.
Always.
All right. Well, thank you for sticking it out for another episode. Hopefully, you guys have already subscribed by now, so you're getting notifications on Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time when a new episode drops. If not, be sure to subscribe so that you're getting those notifications. I finally took some time to look at some analytics and see where our listeners are. And interestingly enough, they're all over the U.S. There are some outside the U.S., but they're really not in specific areas. They're just kind of all spread out, which is so cool. I would love to hear from our listeners and know what your takeaways are. I get to hear from my local people as I'm in conversation with them about, things that they noticed in an episode, things that made them reflect in an episode. But I'd love to hear from you as well. So be sure to reach out on the branchingoutpodcast.com website and let us know your feedback. And I would also invite you to leave a review if you're enjoying this as well. So thank you so much for joining us today. And until next time, keep branching out.